On today's episode of the Nashville Wellness Collective podcast, we have epigenetic therapist Valentina Bain, who truly encompasses the meaning of integrative health. I am your host, Unique Cortez. The Nashville Wellness Collective is an online directory and resource with a large list of health and wellness practitioners in the Nashville area that span from Eastern to Western practices and everything in between. So whatever kind of practitioner you are looking for or interested in learning more about, the Nashville Wellness Collective is here to help. Visit us at TheNashvilleWellnessCollective.com and watch or listen to all of our podcast episodes, read our blogs, and more. Whatever part of your health and wellness journey you are on, the Nashville Wellness Collective has you covered from east to west. Go ahead and tap that like button and leave us a rating, as it really helps the channel. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. What even is epigenetics? Let's dive in. Without further ado, I give you Valentina Bain.
Is that me? Thank you for being on the show with us today. Thank you so much for your time and for all of the information you're about to share with us.
Thank you for having me. I was so excited when you reached out, and what you're creating is amazing, and we just need more of it in the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I gave a quick introduction that you guys just heard, but if you would like to elaborate a little bit more on that and let us know what brought you here to this point in your life, everything you've accumulated and all of the things that you do, what got you here?
Well, I was born with multiple chronic health issues, so that started me out. I don't want to say a victim, but almost a victim to our medical system of going through the process of going to multiple doctors and running multiple tests and not getting answers. And as many of your listeners know, and as you probably know, it is a really hopeless situation when you're having, health problems that are keeping you from enjoying your everyday life, and you're suffering, and you know that you want to live healthy and happy. And so I didn't know that as a little baby, obviously, but throughout my childhood, I felt it. I felt that I was different. I felt that I was stupid. I felt that I was in pain, and I didn't feel like I could be me in my own life. I felt like I was living someone else's life. And so luckily, when I was 17, I started working in a gym. And I've told the story before to some of my followers that may have heard it, but it was really that pivotal moment for me of watching people go into the gym and they were feeling one way and looking one way, and leaving several weeks, months, even days later, once they started whatever the trainers were doing with them. And I was like, I was watching, and I was like, wait a minute. And it was at that point that I started learning how to eat cleaner, how to move my body. I was already really active, but it was moving my body in a more specific, mindful way. And I couldn't get enough of it. And I started seeing changes in my own body, just like in life and health. And it was a slow process, but it got better and better and better and better. And I just became almost addicted, as we were talking about before we started recording, that I became addicted to feeling good, and I didn't want to stop going down the rabbit hole of researching all these different ways. So it started with energy work as past the changing my diet. I went down the rabbit hole of Reiki and then I got into somatic therapies, into the mind body world. And this was over 20 years ago. And so since then, I never came out of the rabbit hole. And I have 4 children now. I always say I birthed 2 and I inherited 2, but they have taught me even more, because when they were born, they also, genetically speaking, had health problems that I was trying to figure out as well, and my clients over the years. And so I just keep wanting to learn more tools and more research and more options to help people through whatever they're going through. And that's just been my mission, is to turn my pain into my purpose. And so I love how I feel, and I feel like my life and feeling good and moving my body is a gift every day. And I just feel really passionate about wanting to share that with other people.
I can feel your passion for this. And when you said you fell into the rabbit hole, immediately I was thinking you fell into your passion.
That's true.
Like,
and it was confusing because I was a girl that was into fashion and I was living in Paris at 17, 18.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really thinking that I was going one way. So and I loved makeup and hair, and I was doing a little modeling at that time. And so to take this drastic turn, my parents were like, "You're doing what? You're going to school for what now?" Because they didn't even know what it was. And it was just something that I felt was like I always talk about this, a full body yes for me. It was like, I can't imagine doing anything else. So I think I was 19 when I became a labor doula, helping women give birth naturally. I just couldn't get enough of this. Like, how can we not know that these foods are making us sick? How can everyone not know that when you give birth laying on your back, you can't open in the way that your body is actually trying to open fully? It's like our system is built to work against the natural processes of the body. So once I started learning that, I'm like, what else? What else? What else? Like, so it's just been this, I mean, I feel like every day I have so many mentors now and so many books and so many courses. I just learn new things, and there's new research out all the time. So that's kind of why I am where I am. And people are always like, how many things are you doing? And I'm like, well, I integrate all of it because, that's part of my practice, is like looking at the person. And I think every practice should be that way. It should be a functional, full body experience. And we can talk more about why later.
Because no two people are alike. And you have to hone in on the specificity. I've discovered through the podcast that I have been doing and speaking to different practitioners. So if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit more? I know it's a little personal, so it's fine if you say no.
Sure.
Letting us know what sort of ailments you had as a child, and then how or what you found helped you overcome those.
For sure. Yeah, so I was born with really bad, like what seemed like acid reflux or projectile. I had chronic stomach issues, essentially. And so I couldn't keep anything down. They tried every form of milk, I ended up doing some kind of like water and supplements at the end of my kind of before I could eat solids period of time. So it was an interesting period of time for my parents trying to figure that out. And also because nothing was showing up, they didn't know what to do, but I became a bit malnourished. And I wonder if that then led me to, once I started reading, I couldn't read or write or comprehend what I was reading or writing. And they diagnosed me at 5 years old with ADD. And then that turned into, reading comprehension problems. And just all of that gave me, throughout school, I remember having a little bag of Tums, and that's the only way I could make it through the day at school because I would just have such horrible stomach pain. And at some points I would have to take a bath to be able to eat anything, just because the pain would be so bad I couldn't function or imagine wearing clothes with that kind of stomach pain.
Oh my God.
And I know people suffer all the time, but it's like hard to live your life when you don't want to eat because it hurts, but then you need to eat because you have to nourish yourself. And then when you don't eat and you don't have nourishment, you can't focus. So it's hard to say what was playing into what. But by the time I was a teenager, I was losing and gaining weight unexplainably. I had like really bad hormonal like acne happening. But that turned into chronic fatigue. And I remember at one point I could barely get out of bed. Like thinking about, I got a new puppy and thinking about taking her to go to the bathroom. I like remember laying in my bed and just thinking, like, I don't think I'm going to have the energy to get up out of bed. Like, it was just a level of exhaustion that I realized at that point, like, I've got to do something about that. And that's when I found my first natural minded doctor. And he realized that my thyroid I had like a major thyroid problem. It had been overactive, as like Hashimoto's will do. It went overactive, then went to the underactive state. And it was between like 18 and 20 when I was working on my thyroid really intensely and through my diet and also through compounded T3, T4. And so all of this was the beginning really of me getting my life back and of me feeling like, oh, this is what life feels like.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a little bit about like the early years. And then I've had my own hormonal journey since then. As well as, was it almost 2 years ago? I had a really bad concussion and I was like, well, we're learning a new, like I was in bed for a couple of weeks straight and then months where I couldn't get out of bed for more than like an hour at a time and had to kind of then go rest. And so I've experienced enough health problems that I know that I wouldn't be here today feeling the way that I do if I wouldn't have found the pieces that I put together. And I love now my kids will, like when we go on vacation, we just got back from vacation, or during the holidays, they'll be like, oh, I can't wait to eat like how we normally eat, because they know how they should feel when they feel good. And I think that's where we're all at now is normally we feel amazing. And so when we do things now that don't align with how we want to feel, we're like, oh, we crave to go back to what's right for our bodies, what we know is good.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And they're all teenagers. So that's like a really big
That's huge.
realization.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's not perfect. Let me tell you, they beg me to have things that I don't want them to have. However,
chicken tenders.
Yeah. I mean, so many worse than that. My son sent me articles about Coca-Cola and how it's not that bad and he should be able to have it in moderation. And I'm like, oh no.
If your son's watching, know it's not.
I know. I'm like, oh gosh, these guys, they are challenging, very challenging.
Yeah. I mean, that's good too, that, they have their opinions and that they, want to challenge things in life. Hey, go for it. Just not your mama on Coca-Cola.
Woo, I'm like, can you just not push me?
Wow. So how did you resolve the T3, T4? It was compressed? Or, oh wait.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about thyroid hormones.
What is?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is, like a lot of people do have thyroid issues and they're given Synthroid or they're just given a medication and then they stay on it forever. They think, a lot of people, as in Western medicine, you get a diagnosis and you're like, this is who I am and this is what I'll have to deal with forever. Right. And I am just here to tell you that is not the case. No, because I not only rebalanced my hormone, but all throughout my pregnancies, I was checked and I had no issues. I still have no issues. So I really do believe that, I mean, there was a lot of emotional things that I also went through, healing traumas and things like that. And I think all of that really on top of giving my body what it needed and repairing a lot of that malnourishment from those foundational years set me up for some repair work. But what I find is my story is really common because I had a bit more extreme version than maybe like a normal kid, but we were all eating like all the packaged foods back in my day as well. So we weren't, I mean, it was better ingredients than it is now. Hopefully that'll get better because there is definitely a movement of people becoming more aware of that. But I think that it's realizing like we do have some cleanup work to do. We all do. And I think sometimes when we awaken to that, we want to take extreme measures and the body doesn't really like that. In fact, what I find is when people do that, they often set themselves up for triggering other underlying health problems. So it's like, it's great to wake up to all of this, but like be easy with yourself. That's kind of my message for people. Like, yes, there's hope and be easy with this. It's not a, weak cleanse that's going to like fix everything for you. It's really integrating lifestyle changes that are going to support your body from here on out. And so I really am a big advocate of that.
Baby steps.
Yes.
And it's the long journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. It's like, if you think about it in the gym, it would be like someone learns the benefit of muscles. And so they go right into the gym and they start heavy lifting, straight up heavy lifting. And they heavy lift. They're like, I'm going to heavy lift for a month and I'm going to be like a new person. it's like, first of all, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yep.
And second of
So
all, like
fast.
you've got to recover, and it's not going to last if you don't keep doing it. The benefits, you're not going to see the benefits if you shock your body and if you only do it for a month. So these changes that I'm talking about are lifestyle, and they are integrating in a way that you don't feel it though. Once you integrate it, it becomes a new part of what you do without thinking about it, like drinking enough water. I remember when I first started drinking enough water, it was like, oh, how am I going to get that much water in? You know, but it's like now I can't imagine not drinking enough water because I crave it so much. So it's that kind of process.
So thank you for the history on how you got here and your story. That's amazing testimony.
Thank you.
Because to go from not being able to eat supplements, you said, and water, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine. And then being a child and the pain and feeling like you don't fit in, and then just all of it. And then finding out later in life, but you were still very young, getting that information of like nurturing your body, taking care of yourself, what you put in your body matters, and then seeing the transformation of everything, including your thyroid, being able to like reverse that with holistic means is incredible. And if you don't mind, I would like for you to touch a little bit on hormone balancing and how hormones affect us, how maybe it appears in our everyday life, but maybe we don't even notice it. Maybe it's things that I'm like, oh, why does that irritate me? Oh, why is this bothering me? Or maybe it's like a spouse that's like, you've been a real B lately. You know, like what? And you don't, and you're like, what'd you say to me? You know, and then they're like, you see?
So the most popular awareness that we have is PMS. We think hormones, we think PMS. For me anyways, like I think that's the general like mass level. That's what we know in general about hormones. But hormones are chemical messengers. So they really are important, an important part of so many functions in the body. They tell our body what to do or not do on so many levels. And when our hormone, and we talk about progesterone and estrogen and testosterone and all of those hormones and thyroid hormones. But what we sometimes don't remember is like cortisol is also a hormone. So our stress is a big part of our hormonal picture.
Okay.
And we are all under so much chronic stress that, of course, stress on top of toxins and lifestyle choices all really do impact our hormones. So oftentimes in today's world and Western society, we think of remedying hormonal imbalances by like injecting with the hormone that we're low in, and that's going to fix it. And although there is a time and a place for that, and it's not at all that I'm against that, it's that my approach is looking at the body more holistically and saying, hey, if we give you that hormone as a step one, trying to balance it, if someone's in a negative state on something, we need to look at what symptoms are presenting and they need to work with their doctor on that. So I'm not saying anything about that, but separately, we need to look at what's going on in their life that could be contributing to that imbalance. Because if we don't get to the root of why it's imbalanced, if we don't try to support the body more holistically, then we're going to become reliant on something, and then our body will stop producing that hormone because So what you do when you give yourself certain, when you supplement things like that your body's producing naturally, some things your body will say, hey, we don't need to produce this anymore. And so you actually can make the problem worse. It's the same with like when you take an antacid. So you're actually putting out the fire in your gut, but you need that fire. It's just it's coming up. So you need to address why is it coming up, as opposed to just putting the Band-Aid approach, right? So it's the same with hormones, and we don't often think of it that way. And hormone imbalances can present in so many ways. I think younger in life, we see it through mood kind of disorders, or even just like certain times of the month having all over the place moods, really bad symptoms when you're on your period or not having normal periods, and then skin issues. But as you get into the perimenopause chapter, which I am in, and
Same.
pretty much all of my clients are in, which can
Yeah.
start as young as in your 30s, but so all of us women will go through that. And when you start to have your hormones change, a lot of underlying health things that are going on, that's a time that it can really come up because your body, all the levels are changing. So you start to see what maybe was going on that was lying dormant.
Oh, wow.
That's a time when a lot of things come up. Also, we have things that, like sarcopenia, where we start losing muscle during that time. So as your hormones change, you start to have potentially other issues, like major issues, like heart issues, bone issues, muscle issues. So again, the hormones impact so many parts of our body. A lot of people see it. I mean, one of my first questions when someone comes to me with hormone issues, like, how is your bowel movement going? Like, are you having at least one a day? Because if you're not able to get rid of what you put in your body properly, then that's a huge sign the hormones need some support. And there's so many ways to support them besides just injecting with, hormones. Although I know that for some people that's where they're at.
Okay.
But yeah, there's so much else you can do. So that's where I come in, is like really looking at the lifestyle, looking at someone's DNA, at someone's gut health, at the mineral deposits in the hair, actually through HTMA. And also, I mean, before we do any of that, it's like, well, how are you feeling? Like, are you dealing with something major in your life? And do you have a way to get some support around that right now? Because if your nervous system is all shot, then nothing else is going to take, because your body is in that fight or flight mode, and that's going to be priority. If you're in survival mode, there's not going to be healing taking place. That's not a priority for your body.
Wow.
So we have to get you out of fight or flight mode before we can start to heal. And so that's kind of the level of approach that we come at it.
And so once you've gotten past the part where you're asking them, how are you feeling? And you discover a little bit more about what's going on in their lives. And what's the next step? Let's say that they're not so much in fight or flight, but they're experiencing just maybe fatigue, having some other issues. What's the next step in what you advise them to do?
Well, so I do bring in a lot of functional testing.
Okay.
Yes, you're like, that's what I want to talk about. This is the good stuff.
It's all good. I mean, it's all great.
Yeah.
We're going to go through the whole process.
Yes.
Beginning to end, so we learn
perfect
all of the terminology.
I love it. Yeah. So when I take on a new client, the first thing we do is really extensive paperwork. And like carve out, like, I don't know, at least 30 minutes, if not an hour. And then we, of course, go over all that, which takes that time as well. But it's really important for me to understand how someone's feeling on every level, and what symptoms they have that they're presenting, and what's important for them to work on. Because I can look at, all the different genes in their DNA report and in their blueprint and say, okay, we could spend a whole day talking about their makeup. But that's not necessarily going to tell them where to start right now on what's presenting right now in their lives.
Okay.
So first we look at what their goals are and their background and their history with everything. And then we figure out which test to do. I really love doing the DNA test, because your DNA is what you were born into this world with, and that never changes. And it gives us the groundwork of why your body needs what it needs and what it needs.
Okay.
And so if you're eating, sleeping, moving, functioning in a way that's working against yourself, which so many of the fad diets and habits that people are thinking that they're doing to help themselves, they're really shooting themselves in the foot. And so it's really nice for me to know what they need to be doing. And that's how we get that information. The next thing that I really like to do, because the gut impacts everything, is look at what's going on in the gut. What is the bacterial balance happening? What is the story there? Because they're also with the gut brain axis. I mean, that is so much going to impact every part of our lives, especially our mental health and how we handle stress.
Oh, wow.
how we sleep, all of those things. So that's more of like a right now snapshot.
Okay.
And then the hair tissue mineral analysis, when we check the hair, is going to give us about a 3-month snapshot on what the body is doing with the minerals in your body. And the minerals control, just like hormones, are going to control all those chemical processes in the body. So if we don't have our foundational needs met, then we end up, again, the body's not going to focus on healing. So we can actually see with mineral ratios if the adrenals are fatigued, where the symptoms align with what's actually going on right now.
Wow.
So all of that gives me a full picture.
Oh my gosh, that's very full.
Yeah. And so I do partner with a local doctor to also do some blood work as needed, but that's not something really that I focus on. I also do hormone tests that you can do at home where you can see what your curve is each month. So we know not only do we have the hormones panel kind of in the DNA test, but we also get like a right now, what's going on this month on, you test every day by urine analysis at home. It picks up the different levels of estrogen, progesterone, and luteinizing hormone in your urine.
Okay.
And then that you scan in and that gives me a picture of what's going on. So when we have all that information, then we can come up with a plan on where to supplement. And I do create custom supplements. I use peptides as well. But I really always tell people before you start doing all kinds of cleanses and changing your diet and, killing yourself to do all the things that you're reading online to do, maybe look at what your body is actually wanting and needing, foundationally.
Yeah.
And then I think most people feel just like, like finally, I know why that didn't work and I know what I needed. Like it's just this aha moment in such a profound way. And I think back, I'm like, oops, I got my microphone. Sorry.
Sure.
I think back to like, if I would have had that information, I wouldn't have had to go through years of trial and error and going to all those different doctors. So I'm very excited with my passion for what I do, that we have the ability now to get that information and that it's a one-time, like you get it it's like the book, someone hands you a book and says, here's how your body works. And it's like, hallelujah. Like I finally have the answers.
That's so nice.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And then, the other part of it with my education around like mineral balancing and balancing the gut and even like all the lifestyle changes, what we find is if you're focused on just one area of the body. So if you're just focused physically on healing the body, you're going to get some progress and it's going to be amazing. However, if you do have chronic stress or emotions that haven't been dealt with, traumas that's been stored in the body, and you don't have the tools to process and release that, then you're again not going to get full results. So that's where my background in the somatic therapy work, as well as the world of functional testing, epigenetics, mineral balancing, gut health, all kind of comes together. And I really love that I can offer both because it's two different worlds, but they are really one because they're all part of us. Yeah. So that's where I bring in the Eastern, the Western, I love your post actually about the Western technology testing and the Eastern modalities. So it's really
truly integrative.
Yeah, truly integrative. So that is where I stand with all of that. And I dig in, when I have people in my programs, my Ultimate Blueprint program, I'm working with those clients for 9 months, and we are working on a lot of them hormone balancing, but we're working on the root causes and we're releasing sometimes the generational traumas, the emotions that were held from birth, from all different chapters of the life. And we're working on, releasing them energetically, but also processing them in the mind and in the body. And so everybody's journey with that healing is a little bit different, but I'm grateful that I have the tools to guide people to be able to do all that.
You are the definition of integrated.
I love that. I love
if
that word.
I looked up in the dictionary.
That's
I would see your picture.
integrative used to be a part of one of my branding, like one of my names back early on. So
It's
isn't that
amazing what you're doing and taking, like you said, West meets East truly and unifies. And the sole purpose is for the betterment of that person as an individual person, not cookie cutter, part of a system, not like slap a band-aid on it kind of a thing. It's like truly finding the root cause. So I'm going to rewind a little bit when you were talking about you do DNA testing, the microbiome gut testing, and then the
hair tissue
mineral analysis. So the gut microbiome, do you mind telling us a little bit more about how we can better serve our gut microbiome, why it's so important?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. So just like I often tell people to think about a plant, you know, in the ground. So you can have a really healthy plant, and you can have water and you can have sun. But if you don't have a high quality soil, that plant can't necessarily take root and grow. It's the same for our gut. And a lot of times what happens, especially because not only do we take antibiotics so much, and I can't even tell you how many times I had antibiotics. Really can't count. I remember the bubblegum flavor and I remember it very well. So I'm like, I know I took it a lot. But I know that, you know, that wiped out all the good and bad bacteria. And there are also, you know, the way that we clean, everything is so clean and the soil is depleted. Like we're not dirty enough for our own health.
Yeah.
So getting the right probiotics, and for years I told everyone they should take a probiotic. And I have learned that because I actually had a histamine response myself and had a few clients as well with histamine issues. We didn't talk about that part of my health journey, but there's so many chapters, right, that we can all talk about. But basically, probiotics can trigger a histamine response. They can worsen the symptoms. So while we think that just repopulating is as simple as taking a probiotic, we have to ask ourselves, A, what kind of quality bacteria are we putting in?
Okay.
Or are we wasting our money?
Okay.
And B, is the body ready to receive it? It's kind of like, I had someone explain it to me this way, and I love this explanation. If your bad bacteria are like the prisoners and the good bacteria are like prisoner guards, the prisoner guards are down on the ground, like on their deathbed. The bad bacteria, the prisoners have taken over, and you want to come in and make it better. So you bring the prisoner guards like a 5-course meal. Is that going to make them feel better when they're on their deathbed? Right. It's probably going to make them more sick and overwhelmed, and like they're not going to necessarily, that's not what they need at that moment necessarily at that level.
Yeah.
So it can be too much too fast. It can be, so that's what we learn when we get a full snapshot. Not only can we see what bacteria is out of balance,
okay,
and what all's actually going on in the gut, we also can see what we need to supplement with and how we need to bring it back to balance on such a really, like, you know, under a microscope level.
Yeah.
So microscopic, that's the word I was looking for. Level. So yeah, that's how that works. And I think, you know, there has been so much studies on how the gut and the brain are connected. And so when our gut health is out of whack, I mean, I just read a study that women have such an incredibly high chance of being depressed within the first, I think it was 6 months of taking an antibiotic. And if they have another round, the chance is like double. So yeah, I mean, it's just wild, the connection. And we didn't know back when we were being given antibiotic. And I do know now doctors, most of them, it's not their first thing to give out for a lot of reasons. But it's really important to understand that we need foods that are going to feed the good bacteria.
Yeah.
That's the prebiotics we can eat. And then we need the good bacteria to populate and to be great. And I've even started taking, like, there are some mints that I have that can repopulate the bacteria in your mouth.
Mints?
Which is, yeah.
Oh.
There's a company that sells this. And so then this is the gate, right? Your mouth is the gate of what's happening in your gut.
Oh, yeah.
And the bacteria lives on your teeth as well. So if you want to improve dental health and you want to also improve gut health, it can start there in the mouth as well. So there's a lot. And that company that I do those labs with, they also offer vaginal and oral tests as well. But I think the gut is for most people, especially around the hormone world, with people dealing with problems there, they do have tend to have more gut issues. So I see that the most, and that's where we begin.
What do you recommend as far as probiotic? There's prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic?
Yeah, they are all.
What kind of foods do you recommend? What should we be eating? What should we be avoiding?
Well, I would say sugar is the number one thing that, we want to avoid. Because, and it really depends. I don't have hard rules on things, and I don't want to be one of those people that's like, don't do this and do this, because really, if you were a fly on the wall with the reports that I do, you would see it is so bio-individual, so unique to each person. Yeah. But overall, and there's, oxalates in plants. Like, should we be eating plants, or should we be more focused on meats? It really depends on how you break things down. Yeah, there's a carnivore movement. There's vegan, and I feel like I've done it all, guys. I have been a raw vegan. I have not been a carnivore, all in on carnivore, but I don't like to take a stance on any of those, because what I find is it really depends on how you break things down and what your needs are, where you're living, what your age is, like what your activity level is. But I would say in general, sugar is not our friend. It's going to feed the bad bacteria 100% of the time. And so it's not going to help us help the good bacteria thrive. And foods with, foods like kimchi, and foods, yogurts, sauerkrauts, things like that tend to be great unless you have a histamine issue, and then they can trigger the histamine response. So it really is so bio-individual. And I would tell people at home, like, if you want to try things, like, don't be afraid to try them, but food journal and see, how do I feel? How am I sleeping? How's my energy level? Have my symptoms, whatever symptoms you're looking at, do they feel better or worse? And just try one thing at a time. And that would be the best. And then I really love the company that I do testing with, which is Microbiome FX. They also have a product line that's really great. Nice. And so I do tend to recommend their product line, because it doesn't tend to trigger histamine response for people.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, great.
And sorry, I get deep into the weeds. I'm like, I hope that I'm not just like talking at you at this point.
No, I love it. I'm here for it. Like I said, all of this information is needed, not only for me, but for our viewers.
I just wish someone would have told me about all of it. Like, I would have just had my notebook ready and just, So,
but you were meant to be the teacher.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I feel like all of us have our journeys, and we've all gone through our stuff. But I feel like if we take a look back in hindsight, if we can pick out what we were supposed to learn from that, the overall theme of what we were supposed to learn, and then share that with others, I think that gives purpose.
I remember I felt, like I said, I always felt stupid because I couldn't learn, I couldn't remember, I couldn't read and remember things. And something happened when I started diving into the health and wellness world. I remembered stuff, and I would be like a little, like, I was telling people about studies and supplements, and people started calling me. This was when I was really young, like, what should I do for this? Or what do you think about it? And I was like, whoa, like, I remember this stuff so well. Wow. And it was like, I finally felt like, that's how you kind of know your calling, your purpose, right? Because it just, I know. Yeah. So I'm like, it's so cool how it sticks in my brain compared to something I didn't want to read. So that could also contributing.
Like, what you're passionate about. I think we've all experienced that. I think any kid, or when you're a kid looking back and reflecting on memories of being a kid and being in school, I think we've all had those like subject matters that were like, ugh, like snooze fest. Okay, maybe I'm dumb in this subject, whatever.
But mine were all of them. in school. I didn't have one that I was really interested in, except for singing. That was the only thing I was interested in.
That's amazing. Yeah, same here. Singing, and then like PE class was like my best grade in school. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Movement. Yep. I'm with you. I'm like, let me outside.
Yeah. Let me outside. Let me be in nature.
Yeah.
But for some people looking back, you're like, school was a snooze fest until that one thing hits you. And that it's so neat that you began to realize you were viewed as an authoritative figure in your field at such a young age. And I'm sure that boosted your confidence to like continue.
I never felt like it though, because I had such incredible mentors that always knew like a million times more than me. I mean, it was like, I was just absorbing it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, other people that didn't know anything about this were like,
turn to
you. How do you know all this? And I'm like, there's so much I don't know. How could you think I know so much? Like, I have so much to learn. Aww. And I still feel that way to this day.
We're always learning, always expanding. And that's very humble of you. But you are an expert in your field and all of the fields. Because I would say it's multiple fields that you have learned.
For sure.
And somehow created this unique way of putting them all together in a very integrative way that clearly is working for people, and the proof is in the pudding. And
yes, I just had a client 2 weeks ago call me and say, guess what? She had Hashimoto's and her thyroid levels have never been normal in like over 20 years. And her thyroid levels are normal. And she's not on any medication. In fact, I encouraged her to come off of the thyroid supplement she was taking because her selenium was high in the mineral chart. So, and that's a testament too to all the different things. She's a fantastic dream client. She also lost weight that she never thought that she could lose because it wasn't budging. So it's those kind of calls, those kind of messages that make me just like, I just like, how is this my life? Really?
Yeah.
I love it so much. I was on vacation last week and I couldn't wait to get back to like talk to my people. Yeah. So it's really cool.
So you've told us about the DNA testing, about the probiotic, and we've dived a little deeper into that topic. And then you told us that you do the hair testing.
Yeah.
And then you were telling us how you integrate it with the somatic. Am
therapies.
I pronouncing that?
Yeah.
Somatic therapies.
Exactly. Which are mind body.
Yeah. Can we dive a little bit more into, because I know there's an array of somatic therapies that you offer.
For sure.
What do you offer?
So I am not practicing in person anymore as I was years ago. I used to do medical massage, Cranio Sacral, and Reiki, which you can do at a distance, luckily. But I also practice emotion code, body code, and all of these multiple modalities in that realm. All of these modalities have one common thing, and that is that they're working with the mind and the body and the energy. So it's this integrative approach. And so we do somatic therapies every time we do breath work, yoga, because we're breathing and moving and thinking, and we're using our focus as part of the integration there. However, I think what's really powerful is taking, I use AO scanner. So I do bioresonance with my clients that I see for 9 months. I do custom meditations through frequency. So I'll have to show you. That's part of one of the things that I use. And so what I do is record a 10-second audio of their voice. And the AO scanner can read like thousands and thousands of different frequencies that will tell us if the chakras are in balance, out of balance. What's going on in the Chinese medicine meridians, where the emotional imbalances lie in the body at that time. And then we can create a frequency infused meditation that they listen to until their next session. I know, it's amazing. It's awesome. And then I muscle test what shows up. This is me like taking multiple modalities and kind of making it my own. A muscle test what shows up in the report to see what we can release. And then I use a magnet on the meridian, which is what body code is, to release through the governing meridian, which is your Chinese medicine meridian, to release the energy that's telling your body that this is an issue for you. So once the like energetic root of that issue is cleared from the body, it frees up your body in a frequency level and so what people see is it's just so much easier to find solutions, because what happens is when we're playing, like it's like a radio station, when we're tuned to a radio station that is my dog is here at our feet. he's napping. Just don't start snoring, okay? But we're tuned to a radio station, and that's what our experience is of life, because we're seeing the world through that lens. We're hearing the world through that lens. So when we change that frequency, everything seems different. Our experience, our interaction with the world becomes a different experience. So that's one of the ways we can tweak. And people, I mean, the sessions that I've had, I mean, I just had a gal that was not able to record her podcast, and we did a quick session, and she was able to speak how she wanted to. So it's like, really, when you have a physical feeling, there's more to it, the emotional, energetic block. So that's an easier way now than doing like a whole hour or series of energy work. It's like I can really tune it in and use the science, and it's a great tool. And then I use emotional freedom technique.
What's that?
Oh, emotional freedom technique is tapping. So you're tapping on the meridian points of the body, and as you are thinking about something. So when we identify triggers in the body, like say they're every time you see red, you feel stress hit. Maybe you were wearing a red shirt, or there was a red sign before you had a crash, right? And so now you're on some subconscious level, your body is associating the color red. This is just a really silly example, but it's triggering. So it can be that way with a song, with a daily experience, like driving to work every day, or coming home because there's been some problems, or whatever it could be. But it could be on a kind of life level as well. So we can have triggers on all these different levels. So we also can use tapping. That's one of the tools I have recordings that I send, and we work through journaling and recording. So those are also somatic tools to help release the subconscious patterning in the body, so that we can actually create the life that we want. Because if we're trying to change our diet, but we're working against ourselves because we actually are afraid to lose the weight we want to lose, because we remember that when we lost weight, we, had some kind of sexual experience that was horrific or something like to that. That's how the body keeps us safe. It says, you're not safe to lose weight. Don't you remember that when you lost weight, or when you were at that weight before? So it's that association that we have to go kind of unravel. And that's the kind of stuff in conversation we kind of dive into. And people don't even have to have awareness of it, and they don't have to relive it. We can just clear it from the body, so it stops being a part of your vibrational experience.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is, woo! All right. So how does somebody do this test? Because you said it all starts with a test.
Yeah. So it's a frequency scan that I use, and I have it.
What is that? Yeah. What does it look like, or how do you?
Yeah. So we could do it.
I mean,
yeah. Like, do we have time to do it? So
if you have time.
Yeah, it's an application that I have, and I just record your voice right onto it, and then it does a scan. And then I can create a meditation that I send to you with the frequencies that because you're going to be like overly high in some areas and low in other areas. And so this technology can create what you need to come back to balance. So it's essentially like a frequency supplement.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's on your phone, and it's an app, and then I'm going to speak into it. And does it tell me what to say? Like it tells me.
It doesn't matter what you say.
Okay.
Yeah. I just need to hear the tones in your voice.
Oh my gosh. So just speak like a couple of sentences so it can get a good reading. And then it does its magic.
Yes.
And then you do your magic.
Yeah.
And then I have to play your recording at home. I do my homework.
Right.
And then when I do my homework, then I'm going to see like changes in my life.
Yes. You're like, I want to do this. We're doing this today.
This is blowing my mind.
So I used
right
to
now.
just do that work. And then I added in, of course, I did nutrition as well, but I added in all the testing so that we can see the lifestyle changes that need to happen and see where things are. But it's like that work is like, you know, near and dear to my heart. That is the stuff that got me through my divorce, through generational pattern healing, trauma healing. And luckily my first therapist when I was about 18, she was into Eckhart Tolle's work, The Power of Now. So she taught me how to get into my body. That's how I got into all of this. Like just get into your body. Where do you feel it? You know, how to release it, breathe through it. And so it's such a powerful tool. And it's something I always often tell people, tapping is free.
Yeah.
And the PTSD veterans and folks that they've done studies on, it is incredible. Like you can reduce cortisol in the body by like over 40% with a session of tapping.
Wow.
So when you're talking about cortisol being the cause of triggers in your genes, you have underlying things that could trigger. But when that is the trigger, then what do you want to do? You want to address cortisol. How can we release the stress buildup in the body?
Wow.
And so that's kind of where that tool comes into play.
Where should we be tapping?
So the tapping points, we can do. So this is the karate chop point. You can do it like this or like this. And this is the setup statement point. So this is where we get the body ready and we say, all right, so even though I'm feeling stressed in this moment, I still completely love and accept myself. And I actually have some tapping on my social media page if people want to go to Valentina.Bain, and it's there in under the tools. And then the next thing you want to do is the eyebrow point, and you say the statement again. So actually not important what you say at all. It's important that you feel the negative feeling that you're wanting to work through.
Okay.
So I will sometimes just put on a song that triggers my sadness, my anger, my stress, and I will just be like activated. And then I will sit with it and I'll just tap here and then here. And all you have to do is tap and breathe.
Okay.
And then side of eye, because for so long, I didn't feel like I could lead tapping because I didn't know what to say. Because one of my issues, was learning disability. So it was learning how to speak, how to know, and then to figure out what to say and then to say it in the moment. So I was like, how am I going to lead people through tapping, right? So I'm like, oh, wait, you don't actually have to say anything. You can just, the important thing is that you activate. So you start by saying, or by on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense do I feel this emotion?
Mm-hmm.
And then say it's a 7, I feel really angry right now. Then you start tapping. And then after you tap through the points, so we were here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And next we're going to go here, under the nose. And then we're going to go into the mouth. And you guys keep breathing while you're tapping. I should have actually had you like tap it on something. And then you go right under the collarbone point. Just right under the collarbone. Like feel your collarbone, then go right under it. And then under like about the broad, right under the armpit. And then top of it. And there are different points. I actually know finger tapping points, which are really helpful. You tap on the inside of each finger. And that's really great if you're like doing a speaking thing or like in a meeting and you can't be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm with you right now. Or like when I'm driving down the road, like I'm crying to a song, like, people are like, wow, that one's crazy, you know? Like, okay, what you got going on over there? I'm like, it's fine. I'm just having through it. Just freeing myself from the emotions I'm holding in my body.
It can't be worse than me singing in the car and being like,
That's a good one. Kelly Clarkson's a good one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's got that emotional.
Yeah.
Like she's you can just really trigger yourself.
And you know, you got to take your hair out of the pony.
Yeah, oh my gosh. That's awesome. I wish you had a video of that. You should definitely do a post of that one while you're tapping. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Please keep both hands on the steering wheel
when
you're driving.
Please. But yes. Do not tap and drive and put yourself in danger. You can have more trigger traumas to work through, right?
More trauma after that. Oh my gosh. That was great.
We're not here to cause more trauma today.
That was great. Okay. So thank you for kind of walking us through that and the somatic different modalities that you do, the testing with the app and the frequencies. That's amazing. I have to try that.
Of course.
The tapping, now I know where to tap and what to do. Okay, where was I going with that question?
And the tappingsolution.com, they have a lot of like free tapping. You know, you can learn all about tapping for everything, tapping for weight loss, tapping for stress, tapping for all of the things. So it's a great tool.
Wow. Yeah. And now that we're on this topic of releasing things, it makes me think of a conversation I had yesterday with a podcast guest who we got on the topic of releasing. She was talk therapy, but she was explaining the importance of that. And I immediately thought to myself, like, this is kind of going in the realm of Abraham Hicks, because she said something.
You know, I love Abraham Hicks.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I learned so much from Abraham Hicks.
Same.
Early on. So good.
So good. Go check out Abraham Hicks.
Yeah.
If you haven't, go YouTube
so
it.
Good.
And I was thinking of something that Abraham Hicks always says, like, you can't get there from there.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, it hits so hard.
Vortex.
It hits so hard because she was like, affirmations don't always work. And she was like, I hate to break it to you. And she was like, because you can press play on a YouTube video that has all kinds of affirmations out the wazoo, and you're sitting there and you're repeating them, and your subconscious mind is saying, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit every time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you can't get there from there.
I love that you said that. I'm always like, affirmations, you're essentially like lying to yourself. Yeah. And people say, well, the reason this comes up, they don't want to create more of the bad feeling. So they don't want to feel it. So they just keep it. And sometimes people say, if I start feeling it, if I let myself start crying, like, will I ever stop? You will, like, for sure. But it's just, you know, when you are unlocking trauma, it's important, I'll disclaim, like, to have a therapist to support you or to have tools in place to always know that there are some things that are just too much for us to handle on our own, and we do need outside support. Yeah. But for that, I do believe in empowering yourself. And I think for working through the day-to-day things that we feel that come up, it's just learning how to be strong enough that when an emotional wave hits us, that we realize we're not the wave. Yeah. You know, or when a cloud passes by, you're not that cloud. You're the sky. Wow. Yeah. So that cloud is going to pass, right? Girl. Right. Yeah. And so, but it's also okay to feel that feeling. And it's also really cool to say affirmations when you can believe them. Yes. But I think it's more important to feel what you want that affirmation to make you feel, which is why a lot of the work that I do when it comes to manifestation work is like, yes, if you want to get there, why? Yeah. Why are you wanting that? Why do you want to create that? Because if there's not a big enough why, it will not get you through the fight that you have to go through to become who you need to be to go to that. Or there might even be a reason why you don't want that you need to address, that you need to bring awareness to. So awareness is key. Yeah. Whether it be that I'm lying to myself about what my affirmation is, or I'm lying to myself about what I want to actually manifest. Yeah. Or why I want to manifest it. Just getting real with that, because also the really cool thing, and I swear I manifested my husband this way, is like when you realize that you already have within you the ability to create more of what it is that you feel that you want to feel. Like, I want more money because I'm going to feel XYZ. Oh wait, I already feel XYZ when I do these things, so I can do more of that, and then it'll be easier for me to create that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So alignment is key with the frequency, because frequency brings opportunity. Wow. Because we're tuned into the right channel, right? This is Abraham Hicks stuff for sure. That's incredible. So immediately I started thinking, not only does this heal us on a physical level, not only what you offer heals us on a physical level, but also helps with our manifesting in our everyday 100%. Lives. Because like, manifestation, whether you want to feel better, look better, at whatever it is you want, that you're doing something to get something, that is a desire, and that is something you were wishing to manifest. So then those manifestation things apply.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
how you can create your life.
Yes.
By design.
If you book a session with Valentina, then you could get your like husband, your wife, like you could get your dream home.
I did not say that.
I'm saying could. You
keep marketing that for me, please, but I don't want to let people down because
No, but I feel like you helping people do that shadow work, helping them not only do the shadow work and release energies that does not serve them, but also helping them with their health physically and like getting better. So you're getting them better physically and also mentally, spiritually.
Yes.
And then what other option is there? I mean, they have to start manifesting good things in their lives. Cause
right.
like,
you can't not.
And also,
you can't not. You'll feel so great. You won't even care if you don't.
But
that's when things happen.
Yeah.
When you surrender fully.
Yeah.
Then that's when the magic happens because you're not like, where is it? Like, when's it going to be here? I've been waiting on this, or this doesn't work. I remember when I started digging and doing work, my life fell apart. So just say that, like, it's not a bad thing. Sometimes you have to go through the falling apart, the falling down, the feeling of it, which means it feels like it's going to get worse before it gets better, but at the same time, like the journey is the healing part.
Yeah. So. And I feel like sometimes what you view as a setback could be your step up.
For sure.
And it's just up to you to kind of turn it into that. Yeah. Not let it block you, but use it.
Like, where's the lesson? What's the silver lining?
Yeah. And learn from it and grow from it. But yeah, you're right. Everybody has their journey that they have to take. But I honestly feel like if somebody were to book an appointment with you and do like all of the modalities, like the blueprint, can you tell us that's a 9-month? What does that cover?
Yeah, the ultimate blueprint covers all the testing and all the somatic therapy work. For 9 months, you get my support. Yeah, you're like, that's what I want to do.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get my husband. I'll check back with you in 9 months.
And sometimes people are not ready for that commitment, which I totally understand. I can't promise all the transformation unless they are with me for enough time that I can hold them accountable to those changes and that we have time to do all of those tests and integrate all the changes, which is why I have that longer program.
Yeah.
So that's when I really dig in with my one-on-one clients. I do also offer testing bundles. You can do all the testing.
Okay.
And you get a results session and you can do a support bundle. So you can get some support and you can do the testing and then we can figure out where to go from there. So there are a lot of different options. And I'm not a, big business. It's just me. And I am just out here helping people that are meant to come to me so if someone out there feels like they want to learn more, like I'm here, just reach out, let's talk, because I always learn from people too. So, I'm happy to, you can book a discovery call right through my Instagram page and we can chat about whatever it is that you want to chat about. So,
and do you mind just one more time telling us what your Instagram handle is, where we can find you? Yeah. How do we book a call with you? And
of course,
how do we get started?
Thank you. So Valentina.Bain on Instagram and www.valentinabain.com. I'm very creative with this. Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
And so if you go either through the website or on Instagram, if they're on Instagram, you can go to the links and you can click to book a call with me. And on my website, if you're ready to go, you can just click and purchase and we'll get started right away. So
nice.
Yeah.
On your Instagram, you also have like so you mentioned it was like a breathing technique.
Yes.
Do you mind walking us through
the Othership app? Or are you talking about,
you have 2 links on your Instagram, like, that are like a free something. And
yes, the free blueprint for hormones.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so when you book a discovery call, you'll get, good job that you remember that. You'll get a free hormone blueprint. So if you want to book a discovery call, I give that to people.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's really, and then you can also visit my website and read more about what I do. So
there you go. there you have it, ladies and gents.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I love what you're doing. I appreciate you having me here. Or you coming here. To my space. Yeah.
To your space.
It's so fun to have you here.
Logo right here.
Yeah. I know. So I have, should I tell them, like, blank canvas, because I believe you can, this is, every chapter is a new chapter.
Amen.
So you can create what you want right here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Nashville Wellness Collective podcast. And thank you again to Valentina for being on the show. Follow her on Instagram at valentina.bain or visit her website, valentinabain.com. We'll have all of this information in the show notes. Like, share, and follow us on social media at the Nashville Wellness Collective for exclusive content and giveaways. Give us a follow so you don't miss a single episode. Until next time, the Nashville Wellness Collective has you covered from east to west.